To be certain of arriving in Berkshire at the right time, I remember Anne saying they'd all be back at Windsor by the end of September, early October, away from the West Country, and that the progress would be over. Using the cipher ring, I'm carried with a whoosh back through time and find myself standing in a servant's chamber, somewhat dishevelled, but unhurt. It's like I imagine the way that Death Eaters appear in Harry Potter movies, arriving and departing in the field outside the Weasleys, but without all the black smoke. When I look around the room Anne keeps for her ladies-in-waiting, I'm glad to see it's empty, and I'm relieved to see my personal trunk filled with my gowns waiting for me. I'm in the blue gown and hood I wore when I last time slipped, so nothing will look amiss if anyone comes in. I'm a bit jittery as I make my way to Anne's apartments, concerned about who I might see, or who might confront me. Jane Fool is walking ahead of me, looking as if she's in her own world, even though she's with Lady Worcester. The castle seems quite gloomy. No surprise with the cloudy sky and autumnal chill. When I reach Anne's rooms, George Zouche greets me with a bow. "Good morrow, Viscountess," he smiles. "I hope you had a good journey back to court. How do you fare?" "I am well, Master Zouche. Is Her Majesty inside?" "Yes, I shall announce you." He opens the door and walks ahead of me into Anne's presence chamber, and I can't hold back a smile when I see her sat on her dais under a canopy of estate, resplendent in a moss-coloured gown. About her are familiar faces, including Jane Seymour. Before I have a chance to go to Anne, I am stopped in my tracks. "Viscountess," George says, "when did you get back?" He looks pleased to see me. "This morning," I answer. "How are you, Lord Rochford?" I keep it formal in case anyone overhears us. The frisson between us is strong, even without us touching. It's like a charge of electricity, and all I want to do is jump into his arms. "I am well, thank you, Beth." "You look better than when I last saw you." He raises his brow. "I was concerned for your welfare. I still think you kept the truth of that afternoon at Suderley from me, and what happened. Anne will not talk to me about what it was said between the two of you, and it vexes me." "I was ill," I reply, clasping my hands in front of me as I lean closer. "It was a headache and, if you must know, my monthly bleed." He blushes. "Forgive me then, we shall speak no more of it." He half smiles at me. "'Tis good to see you." "What is she doing here?" I ask, nodding towards Jane Seymour. "Pasty Jane," he chuckles. "She has just been appointed a lady-in-waiting to my sister." He rolls his eyes, although I do not think Anne is content. We look over to Anne, who steps down from her dais and walks towards us. "Viscountess Beaumont," she cries as I drop to a curtsy. "Your Majesty," I reply, rising. "My brother and I have missed you." She puts her arm through mine, then looks at George. "Tell Master Zouche that I wish not to be disturbed. I need some time with Beth alone." "I wish I could be alone with the Viscountess," he says, smirking. "But if that is what you wish, sister, then I shall make it so." He bows and walks off towards George Zouche. Once in her private rooms, Anne closes the door behind us, and I pour myself a glass of wine from the flagon on the table. No more tea for me for the foreseeable.